She was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, to Ethiopian refugee parents. She is a senior at the University of Washington, majoring in human-centered design and engineering with a minor in education, learning, and society. While at the UW, she spent most of her free time volunteering with and working for various programs that support underrepresented students in accessing higher education. Friends, please help me welcome to the stage our student speaker for this evening, Tion Melaku.
Hi, everyone. All right. Whew. It's so beautiful up here. At the young age of 9, I mastered the skill of holding back my tears. Growing up a true daddy's girl and having to watch him walk out that summer day was one of the most painful moments of my life. By the next day, I was already a different person. I went from being this cheerful, naive, and curious young girl to a more critical, intentional, and reserved one. I felt cheated, but mostly worried because I didn't know what would happen next. I remember hugging my mother on our couch that night. She's right there. As we sobbed together. I knew she didn't know what would happen next either, so I thought if I held back my tears, I would somehow be able to ease her pain. Eventually, I got really good at compartmentalizing my emotions and not letting my mom see that I was in pain too, because I knew she would blame herself. As my mother navigated this new world of single parenthood, I watched, I observed, and I listened. She worked endlessly to make sure that I never had to shed a tear again like that I did that day on the couch with her. I could list all of the things she's done, but we would be here all night, so I'll just give you a few examples. She selflessly took me to and from my dad's house at least twice a month, all the way through high school. And when I asked her why, her response was, "I don't want you to lose your relationship with your father over our problems." For at least 3 years, she worked 2 jobs, day and night, to buy her own house and car. And although she wasn't physically there for me as much as she wanted, she didn't know that she was showing me immeasurable strength. And I had so much to process, but I didn't really know how. And so a lot of my unresolved emotions kind of sat in the back of my mind for many years. Once I got to high school, I saw that I was more independent than most of my classmates. I woke up with the sun, just like I had been doing since the 4th grade, when my mother would take me to daycare or a family friend's house before school. I navigated my own way through extracurriculars and my honors classes because I knew that I could handle these things on my own. I didn't want to burden her anymore. I dove into my schoolwork so that I didn't have to think about all the struggles at home, and my mother did everything in her power to make sure that I had everything I needed to be my best. No matter how small the accomplishment was, she was beaming with pride. And since my childhood, it has been ingrained in me that college was a part of my future. There was no question. Neither of us knew exactly how I would get there, but it would happen. That was what she said every time. We don't know, but it's happening. But this Algebra 2 honors class during my sophomore year of high school definitely said otherwise. Week after week, I came home with a D or an F on every quiz, and this was the first time in my life that I seriously struggled in school, and I just didn't know why. My mom hugged me as I held back tears because I didn't cry, telling me that this didn't define me, and we would find a way to pass this class together. I went to my teacher during lunch. I did extra problems. I studied more than I ever had, literally, but I just didn't get this algebra. It was after I received my first semester grade of a D that I felt my future start to crumble. Nobody was willing to invest their time in me, and I just didn't understand why. The continued disappointment was too much for me to handle, but I knew that I couldn't give up because this just couldn't be the reason why I didn't go to college. Then, a close family friend mentioned making connections to me. She was a senior at the time, and she said they had math tutors, they had college support, they had professional development, but she had me at math tutors, honestly. I signed up that month, and I met the woman who would quite literally change my life tonight. What I didn't mention before was that I was one of 2 Black students in that Algebra 2 honors class, but sadly I was used to this. I had been in honors since 3rd grade and stopped expecting my classmates to look like me a long time ago. But I'm making connections. I didn't just get math tutoring. I stumbled into this family of all these women who looked like me and also wanted to go to college, but they didn't know how. They too had a bump in the road and were looking for the support that Making Connections offered. I was welcomed by all of these young women, most of whom I didn't know, as if I had come home. And even though I was one of 2 Black students in that algebra class, these MC girls were with me taking those classes at their school as well. We were young women who had decided that our life circumstances wouldn't define us, and that we would do everything that we could to make sure that we turned every loss into a lesson, because MC reminded us that learning from every situation was the true key to success. And along with MC, I participated in probably every pre-college program I could find. My thinking was, if I join all of them, one of them is bound to get me somewhere. And obviously it worked out pretty well. But they were all amazing opportunities. But MC was the one program that molded to my needs the way I needed it to. I graduated from high school, prepared for my journey at the University of Washington, Seattle. I was leaving home to live on my own for the first time, which made my mother a little anxious, but she knew the Women's Center was close and Senite would be there, so she slept a little better. Right? Yeah? Yeah. Fall quarter of my sophomore year of college, sophomore year again, I was pre-engineering and I decided to take Calculus 1 and computer programming. Yeah, I know. Maybe not the best idea for someone who had never taken either before, but I was ready for the challenge. I just thought, if I focus and do my best, everything's gonna work out, which I did, but that didn't reflect so much in my grades, once again. So I spoke to a pre-engineering advisor, and she advised me that I look at other majors. Right. I held back my tears. I will never forget that day. I held back my tears, which came in handy for once, as I ran across the campus to the one person who I knew would tell me that she was wrong, Senite. I burst when I got to her office, and I told her what happened. I was so broken, I felt defeated, and I kept questioning whether I was fit to be an engineer. I remember the questions going through my mind. Am I supposed to be an engineer? Was my advisor right? Should I listen? But Senite calmed me down, rightfully, and reminded me that I didn't have to believe her. That I could do anything I put my mind to, and I was going to be an engineer because I was fully capable, and that's what I wanted to do. That conversation got me through the rest of the school year, and when I applied to my department, despite those grades, I was accepted. Thank you. I stand here today as a senior at the University of Washington, Seattle, studying human-centered design and engineering with a minor in education, learning, and society. Thank you. Because of MC, I've been able to pursue countless opportunities with confidence and resilience. I've learned how to walk into a room and own it, be proud of myself, and always, always, always lift as I climb, because the top will get lonely. I will graduate this June as the first in my family to graduate from college, with no student loans, having been featured on UW's homepage, studied abroad to Rome, selected for the Husky 100, taught a UW class, and been able to host a pre-college National Society of Black Engineers conference with around 100 kids from the Western United States. Thank you. If you told the 16-year-old me that walked into Senite's office for math tutoring that this is what I would have done, I would have told you you were crazy. But now I know the loving and empowering community that surrounded me in high school helped me find this person within myself. Making connections does not allow for mediocrity. All of us are game changers who don't take no for an answer and always ask why and how, because we want to know what we can do to improve and change the world around us. You want to invest in us because you can count on us to create the change that we wish to see. As I reflect, yes, they're all amazing. MC, yes, all the kids. I see that learning to hold back my tears was my way of protecting myself because I didn't feel safe anymore. Everything I had known was changing so fast that I didn't think I could keep up. I will once again be faced with a life-changing experience when I begin my professional career at Accenture in Los Angeles, California. But this time, I won't need to hold back my tears because I know that I am safe, supported, and after all, there's always a rainbow after the storm. Thank you.